家好，欢迎大家来到咱们今天晚上7点钟的讲座。那么今天的讲座呢，主要是围绕着学生的这个主动性以及创业精神。那么提到创业精神呢，可能很多人第一开始会把它跟这个开公司啊，或者是 business 也会有一个很强的关联。但是咱们今天呢，非常有幸请到 Sofya，现在在顶思 CDS 就读，那么她本身呢也是已经12年级了。那她在九年级一直到12年级，整个4年高中期间呢，是维持了一个非常非常优秀的学术的这么一个表现。那同时她课外的生活呢，也是非常的丰富多彩，甚至在繁忙的学业之外呢，还自己创建了自己的公司有非常强的创业精神。那么这个也是为什么今天我们请到 Sofya 来然后这个加入我们，然后为我们带来一些她很精彩的分享。那么在咱们今天的这个讲座开始之前呢，想要首先先给大家简单的介绍一下我们 ETF。那么我们 ETF 的全称是 Enlighten the Future， 也是希望能够搭建一个学生与学生沟通交流平等的来 communicate的这么一个桥梁。我们希望把这个事情做好。那么同时呢，会邀请到很多在各种领域各种不一样的这个板块都非常活跃的非常优秀的学生代表们来分享一下他们亲身的这样的经历。那么这样呢，我们觉得是最真实、最有效，而且是最直接的，这样能够和学生去沟通的一个有效的方法。那么我们同时呢，线上的活动也是比较固定，同时也是非常的丰富多彩。目前我们是每2周1次，以这个频率呢，在线上会找到大家，跟大家来做这样的分享。那么我们分享的内容呢，也是非常多样化的，有这种问答式的，有像采访一样的，有个人案例的分析啊。我们很多时候呢，都会积极的寻找更多的机会，让更多有建树或者是有这个方面经历的孩子们来自己阐述一下这一路上的一些心得感悟，希望能够更好的和我们其他的同学们一起交流。所以我们本质上呢是以学生领导力为核心来推动的企划我们后续在线下呢也会陆续的展开一些，比如说也是讲座呀，或者是 Q&A 呀、答疑的环节呀，或者是这个学术上或者课外活动可能互帮互助的一些环节。那么这些呢都希望大家持续的关注我们，以后还会有更多这样的活动陆续的推出和大家来见面。好，那么我们的这个同时呢也非常欢迎大家，鼓励大家来更多的这个 reach out。就比如说我们有一个特别想要听的话题啊，或者特别感兴趣的领域啊，大家都可以来 reach out， 可以来 propose 话题。那么我们实际上是非常欢迎任何人来成为我们的 guest speaker， 只要你呢有想要分享的东西只要你呢能够在我们的这个就学生群体当中找到一个同频的这样的一个 channel， 那么我们这个平台是永远对于任何这样非常热心想用自己的经历去帮助其他同学的人，永远对大家敞开。OK， 我们的 slogan 呢是 Together we help enlighten the future for more in need， 所以我们希望把这个平台来搭建好，让更多的孩子们有发声的机会，然后呢，让更多的这样的信息可以流通，让每一个人都能得到自己想要得到的这样的信息的渠道，并且它是最真实的，同时呢也是最有效的。OK， 那么我们最后呢来分享几个 housekeeping and reminders。首先呢，我们后续内容上面的分享主要是会以英语来进行。那需要实时字幕的朋友们呢，可以点开咱们屏幕中间的 CC button。那么这个时候，不管是中文的、英文的，随时它都会实时的来识别字幕。那么如果这一个功能可以帮助到您的话呢，您就可以把它点开。那我们讲座也是全程录像的，并且会在24小时之内上传到我们官方的 YouTube 账号上。所以如果有任何地方是您希望能够反复回看，那么您完全可以在我们的视频上传之后去更多的分享，然后和身边的朋友们去交流。那最后的10分钟左右，我们会留给线上 Q&A 的环节有任何您想问的问题呢，或者感兴趣的问题呢，大家都可以在 chat box 里面把问题打出来，我们把最后的5到10分钟留给咱们线上答疑解惑的环节。Okay, all right, so I'll stop sharing my screen for a moment. And welcome, Sofya. It's very, very honored to have you here. So maybe you can get us started by giving a brief self-introduction of yourself so that we could all know you a little better.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sofya. I am 17 years old and I'm currently studying in grade 12 at the Country Day School. This is my 8th year in Canada, but I am originally from Russia. And today I would like to share my story about my business with you guys. Yeah, so let's just give you a background. I have been studying theater for a very long time. And I think my business is something to do with this. Um, Basically, my mom and my grandma are both teachers. And since the very young age, I have been involved in many different kids' birthday parties, events, planning, and everything like that. And in my art theater, it's a Russian art theater, and I got the role of and the honor of being in many different musicals and playing many different protagonists, and also participating in competitions. And it happened so that one time, one of the moms of the students that go to that art school came up to me and asked me if I did any acting outside of school, and if I was willing to help her with her child's birthday party. She was planning a PJ Masks TV series themed birthday party, and she wanted me to come and join the birthday party as the protagonist. And she also wanted me to bring a friend that would play the antagonist. So that was actually my very first job that I was not looking for, but it just came to me. Um, Basically, I had to plan most of the activities and all of the different costumes and props that would bring, because my friend was younger than me and she was not really looking into being as involved in this as I was. My mom helped me a lot because she's also an actress and hosts a lot of different birthday parties for her friends. So she was definitely my number one helper. And of course, I had to do a lot of research and learn different tactics and different interactive games that would interest the kids, because every child is different. And especially depending on age, all of them would have different interests and different things they would want to see at the birthday party. And eventually, that mom, the first birthday party that I did, she shared photos on Facebook and suggested me as a birthday party creator. And yeah, it started from there and it's still going.
And it's wonderful to hear the story and wonderful to know a little more of the backstory that goes behind. And I love a lot about your story regarding how it is unintentional at first. So it was kind of like a beautiful coincidence that someone came up to you and then get the whole thing started. So was there like a moment that you knew it that this was gonna be something that you would like to do outside of school and then actually turn it into a business? Like when did that happen? You weren't particularly finding it, but it just came. So when did you plan to make it more of like a routine or something that you just decided to do long term?
So after the mother posted the pictures on Facebook, she suggested to many of her friends. And since it was around winter time, that's when usually my business becomes very, very, very popular and very, very busy, since there's a lot of holidays, and a lot of kids are born during the winter time. So a lot of parents started actually texting my mom or texting me regarding me coming to their kids' birthday parties. And that's when I understood that maybe, this is a direction that I want to pursue, because I really enjoyed it. And it's something that was also like related to my interests outside of school, theater and singing and performing. So I understood that maybe this is a good way to both earn money, and yeah, it has something to do with the things I like.
Mm, indeed. And I know that whenever it comes down to the word of entrepreneurship, people might think big terms or big names associated with it, or they may think that it's something that's actually pretty far away from a regular high school student's life. So do you have any suggestions for people who might indeed have that little seed inside them, but they just don't know or not so sure whether it's the right time to do it, or what exactly are the things that they could try? A lot of people are sort of in like a blurry stage where they knew that they are interested in a lot of things, but they just don't know how you would kind of come into being. So based on your experience, and I totally love the idea of creating and hosting birthday parties for kids. Any suggestions for those people who are thinking of it, but just not knowing how exactly they could have maybe executed it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would definitely recommend to always try to do something, because if you never try, you'll never know.
Mhm.
And usually the beginning stages of entrepreneurship don't require a lot of money unless it's, something that is a little bit bigger than what I'm doing. And so I always recommend trying and seeing if it's going to work. If it doesn't, then maybe try again later or do something else. But I would definitely recommend also making sure that you have a supporting community like I did, because I feel like a lot of businesses start on the community around you and then later grow into maybe worldwide events. So just make sure that when you're starting this, you have people supporting your back and that are willing to help you.
Mm.
Yeah, that would be my advice. But definitely always try, because maybe that will eventually get you a career. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that people need to kind of keep in mind is that it's always a good idea to start looking at or finding among your passions or your extracurricular activities, right? Because something great could have happened, or you always have the chance to meet new people and then to kind of make another further move and just knowing a little clearer of what is it that interests you. And maybe there could be something great stemming out of it. But I am rooting for what you're saying of if you never try, you never know. So keep trying and keep your passions up and try to see if there's any exciting opportunities. And I think one of the kind of misconceptions that we can defy with confidence is that entrepreneurship or business, it's not always something that is so far away, and it's not always something that is so just unreachable and you feel like it's just, I'm not going to be able to do it as a high schooler. Well, Sophia's case kind of proved it, that as long as you like it and there are passions devoting in, you could have made something great out of those, well, people say mundane things, but they are interesting, right? Once you devoted them or become more devoted. And so I think Sophia has a lot more interesting moments or maybe experience that she can share with us later on. But overall, right, I think we are really creating that supportive and inspiring tone in this to just keep trying and then finding your initial pitch of ideas from your activities, from your passions, from things that you've always loved doing. Yeah, so let's say that now people are thinking of, okay, I kind of know what I'm interested in, or I want to do this, but how do I get started? Right. So that's like another stage of, all right, how do I balance this whole thing out? And what's your opinion or your suggestion regarding getting started?
Well, I think that if you do decide to do, continue and begin your internship with something to do with interests that you do, or hobbies that you do outside of school, it will definitely give you more confidence than when trying something new, because trying something new is always way harder and way more complicated. But I think maybe it's wise to kind of do a plan, maybe, on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper. That's what I usually do for any type of birthday parties, or, even including my homework. I always do a list of different things that I want to see, I want to do. So, if it's a birthday party that has Anna and Elsa, then I go over the props and materials that I already have, and I see what interests the parent has towards the child's birthday party, and I try to balance out and come up with ideas. And I always recommend bouncing back
Mhm.
with the person that you're doing this for, because it's always good to hear their opinion, and you want to always satisfy the customer.
Yes.
And yeah, and so, after that, when I see all of the different things that I need to work on and the things that I do have, I do a list. And my to-do list would include buying some props. Like, for example, when we do Anna and Elsa birthday parties, usually at the end of the birthday party, for the birthday girl, we give her a crown and we do a coronation. And so, that's always one of the things that I need to do to buy a crown. And usually depends on the price and the budget of the parent. So usually if the parent is willing to pay more for a bigger service, we get, a bigger crown, and yeah, everything like that, just to see all the different areas that you need to work on and see what you already have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, and start from there. Because having a plan in front of you is so important to make sure that you're following everything that you've planned, or if you see that it's not working, then you can always expand in a different direction. Yeah.
Very true. Well, give us a little more details of the birthday parties. Do you do like customized different ones for every single birthday kid? How are the ideas coming in? How does
Yeah, well, I feel like biggest difference is some parents want the birthday party to be in Russian, but some birthdays they want to be in English.
Mhm.
There's also like songs, whether parents want us to sing songs, whether they want me to bring like a second character in,
Mhm.
who the characters. So as of right now, I can maybe share my screen to show you all the different characters that I did.
Okay.
Um, so uh, here you go. This is actually my first character I ever did. It's the PJ Masks.
Uh-huh.
So this is the very first pretty party I did with my friend Mia. One of our most popular characters, Anna and Elsa. So I also did Grinch for one of the New Year's birthday parties. Pirates. This was 1920s themed birthday party where they asked me to come and be the host of the party. So I was the one. This was adult birthday party, and yeah. And then also another very popular characters is in Russia. Instead of having just Santa Claus, we also have the Santa Claus's granddaughter. And in my theater, I played the granddaughter. And so a lot of parents would like to see that granddaughter come to the New Year's event. So I do that a lot. So that's actually probably the most um, uh, relevant character in my community, for example. And yeah, it also depends on the age of the kids. If the kids are older, we can do something more active. Like, for example, for the Pirates birthday party, we had 35 kids. So
Mm.
it was all of four of my friends that I invited because I would not be able to do it myself. So you have to kind of estimate, see, kind of, do all of the different thinking and see if there's different roads you can take. So like I estimated that I would not be able to handle 35 kids by myself or with my coworkers. So I had to invite multiple people. And we did a quest. So we had like different pirate suits yeah, it was honestly, that was a very long time ago, so I don't really remember that much. But we did tug of war. We also had fake swords, so they had to fight, and the winner got awarded the pirate, like the captain pirate. So many different activities that depend on the characters and the budget, once again, of the parent.
Mhm.
But usually it's singing a song, introducing yourself as the character, meeting the birthday child, and doing something active like, tug of war, some type of interactive game. And usually we end up with either, doing some type of art session, like designing your own crowns,
Yeah.
drawing Anna and Elsa. So a lot of different things, but depending on the child.
Mm.
Obviously, if it's a child that is older, we wouldn't be doing that. We would be doing something more interactive, because usually kids after the age of 6 can't really sit for too long. They always have to be active enough. So yeah, We did for Anna and Elsa, one of the games is the cold sea, we call it. We had a very huge curtain type of material. And so the kids had to go underneath the curtain, finding different presents that are hid, because it's a huge curtain. And that's one of the probably favorite activities.
I
But yeah.
see. Well, thank you so much for the pictures, and all of those look like a lot of fun. And I like how the whole thing has been planned out to be both fun but also interactive. And there's like maybe like a little educational session in it too, that they can learn something or crafts that they could do. So overall, I think it's well, just so much fun. And it seems like you did devote a lot of time and energy into it. So the next question naturally comes, how do you balance those with your academic performance? Because as far as I know, you've been receiving honor roll for like throughout your whole entire high school career, isn't it? Like you were kind of like a all attending and honor roll student, and that's kind of like a thing that you always had, even before high school. So you've always had a very stellar academic performance. So how did you manage all that with the great parties that you were throwing for the kids on the other hand?
I would recommend making sure that you surround yourself with the right people. And this both includes in, my schoolwork and my after school, and including my business, because with the right team, you're able to achieve so much more. So, when it's a big birthday party, when it's usually 11 or more kids, I would ask my coworker to help me either go buy them things, or either organize or come up with ideas. And it's very hard at the beginning because you're new to everything, and so I had to create everything from scratch, all of the decorations, all of the props, all of the activities. But eventually, as it got bigger, I already had like a base that I could refer back to. And eventually that base started piling up, and I had a lot of different ideas. So usually for businesses, I wouldn't have to work as hard, in a way that I wouldn't have to come up with too many of new things. But it would get harder. For example, sometimes parents would invite me 2 years in a row, so I have to come up with completely different ideas. So sometimes it's hard. I have a track sheet of all the different activities that I could possibly do. So I would go and choose in between that. But with school, I always try to make sure that I finish my schoolwork first, because it is important. And then when I have free time on the weekends, I would work on the business and come up with ideas, and definitely do everything in advance. You don't want to cram it into last moment.
Right.
Including at any factor in your life. So that would definitely be my recommendation. Make sure that you have time management when it comes to this type of things.
Very well said, and totally true too. That first off, with everything that you've been achieving or you have achieved, it is not necessarily like an easy peasy road, right? That's the road of growth with a lot of opportunities, but also challenges. And I am just trying to reemphasize the part that you said about surrounded yourself with the right type of people and the right group of people. And I think another very important thing that Sofya was talking about was you kind of get things started early, and the beginning stage is the hardest of all. So you would want to, like, for example, when you were just getting into high school and you have a great idea, maybe our best advice here is just to take the shot and see if it happens, because that's when, or for example, grade 9, it is when you still have a little more leisure time. You still have maybe a lot more flexibility compared to if you're like a junior in grade 11 or a senior in grade 12, right? So the academics will naturally come along a way. So if you have some great ideas early on in your high school career and you would want to make something out of your high school, then maybe grade 9 or grade 8 is just a great time to start thinking and just put actions to your thoughts. And as we kind of talked about it before, something wonderful could stem from it. And as long as you have that base, it's always easier for future events, right? Regardless of what people are interested in doing, if it's like a kind of activity based or maybe it's something else centered, but give yourself a little more time and be patient. I think those are some of the keys to making sure that you're thriving. So yeah, coming down to the part that you were talking about before of surround yourself with the right type of people. And you also mentioned it before that with bigger sizes of the parties, it's just almost impossible to manage it all by yourself. So you would want more people in. And now we're talking about teams, right? Team building. That's like another huge thing in any type of business, let alone entrepreneurship, where you build everything from scratch. So how did it come? Let's say, how did the team of yours come into being in your adventure, Sofya?
Well, most of my team comes from my art school, since I know all of those people, and I know that they're also good at, performing, singing, dancing, and just being open with kids. So I feel like that's definitely a huge factor when it comes to birthday parties, because I want to make sure that my coworkers are on the same level as I am. So it wouldn't be like, dragging, and they would following me. And also, it's very good to make sure that all of your teammates are responsible, because sometimes when I would invite people that are less responsible than what I would like them to be, I would have to do most of the work, and that would be very hard, especially if it's for a big group of kids. And then also, teammates doesn't always equal people who are helping you be at the birthday party. But for example, my brother, he would always be there supporting in a way, for example, music. So he wasn't there with the kids, but he was always behind the scenes with a speaker and with a music playlist, and he would know what songs to turn and when to do it. And my mom and my brother as well, they would go out and get certain supplies for me if they knew I was running too busy. And at that time, when the business started, I didn't have my G2, so I couldn't drive. So it's always helpful to surround yourself with good teammates, not only in the business, but also outside the business.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah,
Absolutely.
and then
Yeah.
also just make sure there's a lot of up and downs that come with the business, especially at the beginning stages. So it's always good to make mistakes. And that's why I recommend starting young, because when you're younger, it's okay to make mistakes, but the older you get, the more responsibilities you carry. So yeah, I would just recommend making sure that the people have your back. That's the most important thing. They're always willing to help.
Right. Was there like a particular moment that you still remember that was very memorable? Maybe something went on unexpectedly. There was maybe challenge that you have to deal with. And you were talking about just now, and I love it so much. You said it's good to make mistakes. So were there anything that you did back then and then you felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe it wasn't the right move? How did you deal with that?
Well, I could only think of two, the first ones that come to mind. One of them was, it happened so that to one of the events, I was invited to be the Santa's granddaughter, but they also asked me to find a person that would be the Santa. And so I invited one of the older guys from my art school, but a day before we were supposed to go to the birthday party, he calls me and he says that he got sick. And that was definitely a very hard time, because I had to find a person. And since he was like one of the bigger guys, so he would be able to fit into the costume, but all the other guys in my group were younger, and so they would not fit into the costume. So once again, surrounding you with good teammates, my brother stepped in. I told the parents that Santa Claus won't sing, since my brother is not, a singer. But he did help me out. He helped organize the kids. And on that birthday party, my mom was the one who was DJing. It wasn't my brother. So we had to switch up roles and change a lot of it.
Right.
But it was still good. My brother was very helpful. He wasn't able to memorize the script for the birthday party in one day, So we came up with like little snowflakes, and we would glue on the words that he had to say on the snowflake, so he wouldn't forget them. And so he would, anytime like he would forget the words, he would pull it out, and so the kids wouldn't see that it was a script, right? They would just see it's a snowflake, maybe Santa Claus is reading something. So
Right. Very creative, and it's such a kids thing. I think they will fall into it just so hard, and that was just one of the interesting moments throughout the years, right? Creativity, flexibility, improvisation. I think those things are what would be required in all types of businesses as people get into them a little more. Um, okay, so the next question comes down to what qualities do you think a successful team should have? So maybe that could be like a little more advisory when it comes down to other students who are trying to build their own team. What should they look for?
you definitely have to have trust in between a team, because if you don't trust your teammates, um, you wouldn't trust them enough to handle the work that you assign them. So you would still have to do it yourself. So there's not really any point of having a team if you don't have a trust. Responsibility, because you want to make sure that your teammates are responsible and are always there to help. And probably respect is one of the good things to have. And I think a lot of people forget to mention it. When you get into business, sometimes I can say for myself, I can get carried into it a lot. And I would forget that these people are also my friends. So you always have to be respective of their life choices. For example, when my friend got sick and he canceled me last minute, I was very angry, but I understood that it's just life. He got sick. I had to accept that. And with the respect that he showed me, I had to show the same respect back to him. So yeah, just make sure that you put the type of respect in people around you, to make sure that you get the same respect back.
Mm-hmm. Trust or respect, right? Understanding, accommodation, and a lot of compromises too. Especially if you're thinking of partnering up or having friends coming into the business, then well, people need to first of all take this seriously and do their parts, right? So responsibility naturally becomes another very important component, if not the foundational elements that would make a good team. Yeah. So overall, right? I mean, you are now taking in your position as a student entrepreneur who is thriving in academics, and you have just what a life outside of school too, and you are also a business owner. So how long or how far down the road do you see yourself in this road of entrepreneurship? Is it something, I mean, you are currently in grade 12, so you're naturally preparing for university applications, right? That's coming into the mind too. And you will be going off to university next year, next fall. So are you still thinking of taking that entrepreneur role? So what's your thoughts?
I think since the university I want to go to is far away from Toronto,
Okay.
yeah, don't think that I would be able to continue my business as quickly as I would want to do it, since I have to build up, the same community. I have to build up community in the first place, friends, people that I know. And after that, on the friends and, the people that I meet, I can build up my entrepreneurship business. So since the community that I have here, I'm well known, and my business is also well known. When moving into a different city, I would have to reestablish all of that. So I think it would be way, way, way harder for me to start again, since it would basically be freshly new. Uh, but not exactly, since I would still have the material and all the different activities that I have behind my back. But it is something I do enjoy and I really love. And so I hope to continue something like this in the future. And maybe I would even try to focus on adults, since I know a lot of adults like to have some type of um, like entertainment at their birthday party.
That's
And
right.
actually, another good thing of opening your own business is you meet a lot of new people
Mhm.
that you can refer to back. For example, on one of my DECA projects in the school, through the birthday party, I met a mom who does balloons. And so her and I became very good friends. And when I was doing my DECA project, she actually offered me to do any type of balloons that I want for free. So yeah, so I just make sure that when you build your business, you build good relationships with everyone around you, because you never know if you need to come back to them. And also through one of those birthday parties, I actually met a business similar to mine, but it's focused on adult birthday parties. And so maybe I will try to open up my business into that direction. But yeah, I will hopefully continue in the future.
I like that spirit of entrepreneurship that is just flowing in you, and it's wonderful to see how you have had made plans for the future and make adjustments too, right? Because life priorities are changing, and where you will be going is probably not going to be the same as what we are doing now. So even though the environment is new and there's probably a lot of reestablishment that we would have to do, but that entrepreneurship, once you've developed them, they're not going to fade away. And I like how you're keeping it very positive and possible, and just to switching your trajectories and see what else that may fit more into your university life, together with that business ongoing. That's really a great lesson I think we can share with everyone who's here, that what you are doing or what you have devoted yourself toward throughout the high school or maybe before high school, those things, the invaluable lessons that you learn aren't necessarily going to go away, but they do carry into the further stages of your life that can help you in other factors, in other aspects too. Right. So now let's go on and talk about giving back to the community as well as making your own impact. I think that's something a lot of times are like, well, it's just not kind of overlooked or not necessarily seriously thought through by a lot of people who are interested in having a business when they're still in school. So maybe a lot of people are just thinking, okay, what is more profitable or what is going to earn me money? But what do you say in terms of like your idea of doing the birthday parties or opening up your own birthday party businesses? How does that connect with giving back to the community of yours and maybe making your own impact?
Mhm. Well, the community that I have from my art school and now just around me, they helped me a lot when I first came to Canada. Through them, I learned, English. I got to participate in many different events, create many memories, learn many new skills. And I feel like it's my by giving back to my community, it's me showing respect and how grateful I am to be a part of this community since I was the one who joined them. And when you give back to the community, first of all, obviously you feel great about yourself. And I feel like sometimes that's a good thing to have. But it's also because when you give the community a new look, I don't know how to explain it, but when you do something good for the community, you give it new life in a different way. And maybe when I go away into Vancouver, my idea of organizing birthday parties for kids is going to continue through someone else. So it's giving new life, new ideas into the community that I think is greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Now my role of being Santa's granddaughter, all of our musicals that happen during New Year's is being passed on to one of the younger girls. And this is actually my last year of playing Santa's granddaughter in the musical. And so I feel like that feeling of belonging and being memorable in your community is so important, since you know that usually those type of people would have your back. And if you ever need anything, years can pass, but they will still remember you, and you can always come back to them and they will help you.
Exactly. That is creating your own impact through building a legacy, right? And that legacy is shared by just a lot of people in the community, if not all people in the community, who has shared interests, who has the same kind of loving heart and care. And I really like the idea of birthday parties and how they fit so well into the community, especially when you talked about when you just came to Canada, they offered great help. You made a lot of memories, and now you're making new memories all the time with those kids too. So that's the like the positive cycle or the legacy that we talked about, which is very heartwarming, and it sure will continue in its own form or ways. There are various means of how those things could be carried on, but that was the giving back spirit. I think all entrepreneurs, if they want to become a little more established and developed, those are the things that need to be kind of implanted within, so that they do things with responsibility and they do things with a great care, so that they want to contribute back to the community that once nurtured them as well. So I think that part is very, very wonderful. The next is, how do you see this experience of entrepreneurship impacting you personally? Right, we kind of talked a little bit about time management skills, communication, right? But is there anything else that you feel like, if I haven't stepped on this journey of being an entrepreneur and having the gut as well as the kind of courage to open up my own business, I wouldn't be the same me today? Any words on that? Yeah.
I think one of the most important qualities that I developed through this is my, I guess, my courage of going up to new people and talking to them. And out of all of the people I know, I think that I am the least person of all of them to have fear towards a new crowd of people. So, all of my friends, the university I want to go to is in Vancouver, so it's very far away from Toronto. And none of the people I know would want to go so far because they fear the thought of being alone and talking to new people, creating all of those relationships. But for me, it's actually the opposite, and actually excites me, since I get to make new relationships, and those relationships are going to affect me further in life, create many new memories, skills, and everything like that. And also the business, it allowed me to create my own legacy, just like you said. My mom, created her legacy in our community. She's well known, she's very much loved, and so her legacy passed on to me. And so eventually my legacy would also pass on to my kids. So I feel like it's leaving some type of message in this world, and even when I'm far gone, people might still remember me and refer back to me. And so it's the thoughts of me being still with the community, and that I helped it in some type of way.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Another thing is that you have had this great experience throughout your high school career. So do you think that some of the qualities and the great skills that you've picked up along this journey has also helped you maintain or maybe excelling in your academics? Do you think there's anything, like any connections that you found?
Yeah, one of them is, when my fear of talking to people went away, I became more confident and open with teachers. So if I had any type of concerns or question, I wasn't afraid to ask them like I was before. I also learned that it's okay to make mistakes, and instead of blaming myself for them or putting myself down, I just understand that maybe that was the way it's supposed to happen, and I move on, since I learned that making mistakes is a part of being human. So it's okay to make them, and you just have to learn from them, reflect, and go on. So this definitely helped me in academics, because it happens a lot with all students. So yeah, and I feel like one other important skill is, once again, time management. Like the time management that I learned from running a business, but also being a student, having social life, doing after school activities is very important. And one other important thing I learned is that never sacrifice sleep. It's very important.
Yes, actually. Well, I was just about to ask that, running a business requires nothing less than leadership, right? So how do you see this leadership playing a vital role actively outside or other than just a business in your school life, in your personal life, etc.? Is there anything that you're seeing that, this leadership building in is giving you an edge or maybe an advantage in doing certain things?
Leadership became a very huge part of my life ever since I started a business, since it's it's something, it's a huge responsibility you need to carry, because it's not only you who's dependent on it, it's also the people you provide service to, and also of course the kids, since it's their birthday party and you want to make sure that they enjoy it and remember it. And this leadership skills and it being built into my everyday routine, I now show it everywhere around me. In school during projects, I always try to make sure that everyone's organized. I always try to make sure that everyone feels included. And just, yeah. And, another good thing about learning leadership skills is not being afraid to speak up when you think something is going wrong. So another example I could give actually happened just last week. We were in a robotics club, and my friend, she just got her wisdom teeth removed. And so boys who were building the robot, they kept asking her to go bring stuff to them. And, I could see that she was struggling and she didn't want to do it, but she was too afraid to speak up. So I told the boys, obviously respectively, to maybe go and get the stuff themselves without sending her, because it's not her responsibility to do so. And leadership allows you and provides you with skills necessary to make sure that you run a group and a community that is beneficial to all members, because leadership gives you an idea that in order to be a great leader, you need to make sure that you're leading by example, first of all, and that you make sure that every single member in your team is satisfied and happy. So yeah, and that's definitely something good to understand in life, because usually people don't have the same views on life, and so it's always good to know how to find the compromise.
Yes, I think great leaders all have that same commonality, which is they see what is wrong or problematic, and then they don't just sit there and wait for the correction to happen itself. They stand up, they speak out, and they speak, well, for themselves as well as for others who are in need, and they have the courage to confront. Right, so great leaders aren't necessarily shying away from confrontation. They do it all through their own different ways and styles, but the end goal is the same. They would make positive changes, and they would want to create a positive environment with their own efforts. Right. So overall, I think it's a well-rounded, full package, fun ride with rewards, opportunities, and challenges all along. But as long as people start trying, maybe opening up a business isn't as hard or as impossible as a lot of people might think about. They feel like, oh, it's kind of like a career choice that you're going to make in the future. And speaking about future career choices or that particular trajectory, well, we know each other personally, so I know that Sofya is very engineering and science oriented. So about this entrepreneurship that you're taking in all your business experience so far was very creative and imaginative birthday parties, whole stands. Have you found any interesting correlation, maybe connection of how those things come together, and maybe did these things that happen in a business also help you maybe focus a little more or know better of what you're going to do in your future career?
I feel like the business provided me with many necessary skills to continue with the job that I want to have in the future, because engineering is not only science and math and calculation, but it's also problem solving, creativity, and just
Yes.
teamwork, leadership, because without a team, you can't really build anything as an engineer, because it's not only the physical, but it's also, the idea that goes into it. But the business also allowed me to understand that even though I do enjoy theater and performing and birthday parties a lot, it is not something I want to do as an everyday basic. So, in school, I do not take any art courses except Spanish. Uh, I don't take vocal or band as an actual subject, but I know that it's something that I enjoy. It's my hobby, it's my passion. So I take it as an after school. So this allowed me to understand things that matter to me in a way of a career and things that matter to me in a way of hobbies and interests. Yeah.
Well said. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of like a natural thing that people would want to start making their decisions and having their mind set on, especially when it comes down to the later stages of high school where you make selections of courses that you're going to take. And then that's naturally when a lot of people may ask the questions of, what do I choose? Right. Or where they're having doubts or second thoughts regarding exactly as what you said, the more academic side versus the more extra curricular or hobbies side, passions. So I think having that business or becoming a leader yourself will naturally train you with that sensitivity and maybe a little just sharper self-identification. Just know yourself more and know what really hit you so that you are able to make more decisions for yourself and understanding what you want more. And I think that speaks pretty much about itself. It's on top of everything else, you know what you want. That would help out just a lot of confusing situations because you will be able to know why you're making the decisions that you're trying to make and know that you're not going to just do it in a blur or do it because everybody else is doing it. So having that sense of control and sense of self is another huge benefit of becoming a leader and running your own things. So one last question that I have for you, Sofya. Do you think entrepreneurship only plays itself out in the business form, or do you think building or establishing entrepreneurship can happen maybe starting with something smaller and starting with something easier instead of businesses immediately? So what are some of your thoughts or maybe suggestions for the starters?
I think just like every human, all businesses are unique and they start and grow in different directions. So starting a business doesn't always equal like starting big, drop shipping. It's not always that big right away. It could start with something small and then progressively develop into something way bigger. But it's always important to try. Once again, as a child, one of the businesses that I had would be making rainbow balloon bracelets and then selling it to my parents. So, and maybe eventually that can develop into something bigger, like making custom jewelry and then shipping it worldwide. It can start something small, like a knitting business, and it can grow worldwide because a lot of brands right now like some type of clothing with knitting, and maybe not exactly your business that will develop and grow, but maybe your skills will be noticed by other people, other businessmen, and then they recruit you and you become a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's always important to make sure that you try because it will give you many new opportunities and different interests of your life. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so sure about what I want to do in university is because of all the different interests that I had in my life. And I understand what I want to do as a job, what I don't want to do as a job. And yeah, and I think that's very important to make sure that everyone has that realization in their life.
Very well. Yes. It's just a lot of times it's just a matter of time. Sometimes we have that privilege of realizing it sooner due to our own individualized experience, but sometimes maybe it comes later. But never quit trying because wonderful things always happen in very small or if not unexpected ways. You don't see it coming, but that just naturally happens. And just one last little touch up. And in the meantime, if people have any comments or questions that you'd like to ask, please have them shoot it out. Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on the chat box. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate. But one last thing that I would like to add on to what Sofya was talking about just now was that through this journey, you realize who you want to become. And that is a huge lesson of growth already. But another thing is, even if you're not so sure of what you like to do, there are always interests let's say, interesting things out there, or you have your own passions developing as you grow up. So maybe you are not yet ready, or you just don't feel like becoming a business owner at the moment, but you could always do more in your after school activities. You could always do more in your clubs. You could always play a bigger role if you're also interested in theater or art or performances on stage. But even if it's not, you could always talk to your teammates more, try to have more conversations with your teachers. There are always little steps that you're able to take, but that trains you to become a more initiative-oriented person. And as long as you get comfortable with that, many great things can happen in the same time. Maybe you will find out what's your passion one day and you would want to turn it into a business form or run a team or have more people recruited to work together. And that just naturally comes into frame or comes into being. So I think one of the highlighted points of what we're trying to make tonight is number one, start early. Number two, try a lot of different things. Number three, mistakes are good and mistakes are even healthy. If you don't make mistakes, that's kind of strange in its own sense because we're all humans and sometimes maybe miscommunication is going to happen. Maybe you try something, you don't like it. That's more than natural and common to happen. But as long as you keep trying and you keep playing a more important role or a bigger role step by step, eventually you will have a very fruitful thing that you were able to achieve and grab with your own hands, with your hard work too. So thank you so much, Sofya. I think what you're having shared and just this conversation, I think it's very informative for people who are attending tonight. And as we talked about it before, we are recording this whole thing. So later you will be uploaded to our official YouTube channel. So I would recommend everyone to take a look and then share and comment and communicate with people around you to find people that are more like-minded just like you. So maybe you can have a team right there. So before we sign off, Sofya, any last thing or maybe some pro tips that you would like to talk about and share with us all?
One last thing is understand that leadership comes in different forms and that it doesn't always have to be, opening your own business or being captain, team captain, or, it can be seen as, helping your classmate with homework or helping them understand a topic, and just always try. It's my slogan in life is, if you never try, you never know. And a second advice I'd probably give is everything happens for a reason. So all of the, different out of nowhere events that happen in your life, they happen for a reason. They will teach you great lessons that you later use. And make sure that you learn from them and build on. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, just carry on, keep finding, keep looking, keep absorbing, and don't just let things go, but try to find the reasons and the rationale behind them. And you become, well, number one, more observant. Number two, more reflective. Number three, more philosophical too. And those things will help out in life as well. So last but not least, I would like to make a final remark on who we are and what we do. So we are an organization, a non-for-profit organization here in Canada called Enlighten the Future. And just as our name claims, our slogan is together, we help enlighten the future for more in need. So we are committed to bringing interesting topics that are very relevant to everyone at different stages of our student life and helping people having the most authentic source of information directly coming from another student speaker who is more experienced and established in a particular field. So we would always want to create more chances just like this to help bring out more relevant topics and insights for people who are interested in this. So thank you all so much for coming in, and shout out to Sofya. You've been nothing but amazing. Thank you so much for the insights. We really, really appreciate that. And we appreciate everyone who's coming in, and we will find you all and see you all in next 2 weeks. And Sofya can come join us. We're really hoping that we can have you on board for another time too. All right, so thank you all so much, and we're gonna dismiss here. Bye everyone, have a great night, and thank you so much. Bye bye. Bye Sofya, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.